Brussels Airport was thrown into disarray today after a major cyber attack struck the passenger check-in system used across several European airports. Staff were seen trying to assist confused travellers, many of whom had no idea why their flights were suddenly delayed. The attack targeted a software platform essential for boarding and check-in operations, paralysing one of Europe's busiest hubs. Passengers lined up in long queues waiting for answers. Some had been at the terminal for hours. According to officials, the breach was not limited to Brussels. Other airports across Europe that rely on the same check-in system also reported disruptions. Airport authorities confirmed to AFP that, quote, "The situation is not resolved. The cyber attack highlights the fragility of aviation systems in the digital era." Just one breach in a software provider can ripple across borders, grounding planes, delaying travel, and leaving thousands stranded. For passengers pulling luggage through crowded concourses, the sense of uncertainty was overwhelming. Some travellers described scenes of frustration as electronic systems failed, boarding passes couldn't be issued, and flights were delayed indefinitely. The concourse at Brussels Airport reflected the growing anxiety. Families, business travellers and tourists all stuck in limbo, victims of an invisible digital strike. Cybersecurity experts warn that these kinds of incidents are not random. They are often deliberate attacks aimed at testing vulnerabilities, sending political messages, or in some cases simply causing chaos. The departure board told the story clearly. A growing list of delayed flights, some rescheduled, others cancelled outright. As the hours passed, the digital attack evolved into a logistical nightmare for airlines, forcing them to improvise manual check-ins where possible. Authorities have yet to confirm the source of the cyber attack, but officials stress that sensitive flight safety systems remain unaffected. The disruption is currently limited to check-in and boarding operations, yet the consequences for travellers are enormous. Across Europe, passengers in Frankfurt, Amsterdam and Madrid also reported similar check-in issues, suggesting the scale of the attack may be continental rather than local. For Brussels, the timing could not be worse. The airport has been struggling to regain stability after a summer of labour strikes, heavy traffic and lingering post-pandemic challenges. Today's cyber attack adds a new layer of vulnerability, one that cannot be solved with more staff or more flights. Experts describe this incident as part of a growing trend. Aviation has become a high-value target for hackers, whether state-backed or criminal groups. In recent years, ransomware attacks have crippled airlines, leaked passenger data, and even forced the grounding of fleets. The concern now is whether this attack is just disruption or a signal of something larger. In an interconnected Europe where airports share technology and providers, a single point of weakness can bring down the system for millions. Travellers at Brussels Airport voiced frustration. Some feared missing weddings, business meetings, or connecting flights overseas. Others worried about being stranded overnight with little communication from airlines. One passenger, speaking to AFP, described the scene as chaotic and frightening, adding that staff themselves seemed unsure how long the outage would last. Belgium's National Cybersecurity Centre has opened an urgent investigation. Officials are working alongside European partners to determine whether the attack was criminal extortion, a politically motivated strike, or an accident triggered by a vulnerability in the check-in software. So far, no group has claimed responsibility, but analysts note that Europe's airports are symbolic targets. They represent both critical infrastructure and public trust. Disrupting them sends a powerful message that even ordinary people's daily lives are vulnerable to invisible wars fought online. Globally, aviation has faced a rising number of cyber threats. In 2022, India's SpiceJet suffered massive delays after a ransomware incident. In 2023, several US airports were briefly hit by a pro-Russian hacker collective. Each incident underscores how digital warfare has moved from government databases into the realm of civilian travel and commerce. Brussels, home to the European Union and NATO headquarters, is especially sensitive. Any attack here is not just an inconvenience, it is a political signal. As the departure board at Brussels Airport continues to show delays, the question remains: who is behind this cyber attack, and how vulnerable are Europe's airports to the next strike? For passengers, the immediate concern is getting home or making their connections. For Europe, the concern is far larger, protecting its critical infrastructure from a new frontier of disruption. Airport authorities insist they are working around the clock to restore operations. But with officials admitting the situation is not resolved, Brussels finds itself once again on the front line of a crisis, not of bombs or borders, but of bytes and breaches.